Hey, everybody, welcome in. This is yourfilterschoice.com. My name is Adam, also known as YFC V12, part of the Your Filters Choice team. I'm joined by my boy, Pete Cole. Pete, how you doing today?
What up? I'm doing good. Ready for CFB's rolling down. We're almost done.
Yeah, man. We're already in week 12. And, of course, we're brought to you, produced tonight by the great Mickey. Guys, we're going to be talking a little bit of college football in regards to the week 12 main slate. We're going to be talking some college football and DraftKings. We definitely, utilize a lot of our insight, analysis, player picks for FanDuel as well. So you play on different sites. Obviously, if you're on different betting sites at yourfilterschoice.com, we have a lot of affiliates and partners. Be sure to check that out. Right now, we do have a promo going on. If you're interested in a lot of different sports, we offer a ton, including a lot of niche sports right now, all the major sports. This is sports season, guys. We got football going. We got baseball just ended, but hockey is just fresh and out the gate, man. We got some great hockey games going on, a big 11-game slate tonight that I covered for us. We do have NBA along with a lot of niche sports, soccer, EuroLeague, tennis, golf, ping pong. I don't know. We got it all right now at yourfilterschoice.com. We also do have a promo right now. Yeah, highlight. Where you can check us out right now for half price off your first 2 months. One of the best prices in the industry, if not the best, if I say so myself. So you're, instead of that $50 a month for your first 2 months, you're going to get that for $25. That'll give you access to all of our premium content, articles, all of our cheat sheets, our premium Discord. And now that I'm mentioning that, please be sure to jump into our Discord. There's a link at yourfilterschoice.com where you can find us on our YouTube, Twitch, socials. Be sure if you're watching this on one of those things, be sure to hit that bell for notifications, like and subscribe to us, guys, so you can always get info whenever it's being dropped hot and fresh out of the yourfilterschoice.com kitchen. So we're ready to jump into it. Pete, we got a big slate again, as always. We're covering the DraftKings college football main slate. I do appreciate you having me back. I know I was unable to be here this last week, man, so I'm happy to be back with you. Now that you've kind of taken a peek, you've been digging in, it's the look ahead. We're Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern time right now, so there's going to be some stuff that's going to drop, which is more the reason to get in on those Discords. That premium college Discord is fire whenever we're talking about lineups and things that are happening. So talk to me a little bit about this slate. What are your thoughts? And when you're ready, man, we'll jump right in.
Well, we got 14-game slate, so it's weird slate this week. I started out not liking it. There's a few like crazy DK misprices like we've been seeing in college sports, like we're seeing in college basketball right now. A couple of prices that are just going to be chalk, so it's going to end up being like a 2v2 slate for cash, so maybe more of a GBP slate, which we'll go through all that. But once again, hey, it's a Saturday slate for college football. We've been rolling on, we've been hitting, we've been doing really well on that 7 p.m. slate also. So check out our content. But it's just we're getting down to the nitty gritty now. I mean, bowl season's starting here in a couple weeks. Thanksgiving is Thursday. I didn't realize that. My wife just said that to me a little while ago. So
yeah, you got to remember the important stuff.
So she's like.
I was saying that she's got to remind you for those family things that sometimes we get so deep into it we forget about that stuff, man. So you gotta make sure.
I had no idea it was Thanksgiving next weekend. I didn't realize. I was like, wow, it's already there. So and college basketball's in full swing. So this is the week.
That's right.
I need to go to make big money this week because the big Saturday slates will be pretty soon be gone. So yeah, it's tough. Probably more, it's gonna be kind of a really cool GBP slate to get off some of this chalk, which we'll talk about. Doing some pivots here, but hey, it's DFS. We got to play it, and we got to take what DK gives us, and that's it. So let's just get right into it.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. I don't know if you noticed, my backdrops change frequently. Instead of the patio weather, I decided in my garage to clear it out.
You're in your garage?
Yeah, I'm in the garage. Yeah. Well, because I got the TV now out here. I got that hooked up, mounted on the wall. I got the refrigerator. I got room. Mickey, he was just telling me, you got room for a pool. I know, man. So I think a little bit by little bit, I'm going to have to go on the back wall, put some sports memorabilia up, my Astros and Eagles, the EPL. I'll put some Chelsea stuff up there. I'm going to have to get it set up quite nice around here. So stay tuned, guys. I mean, it's going to happen. So be sure to keep watching, guys, week to week. We're going to be jumping in right now. We're going to start with the first game on the slate. It looks like we have, and I want to double check my list on here. I believe it is the OSU MSU game. Is that the one you have first, Pete? I just want to make sure that I'm jumping in the right way. All right, perfect. Yep. So Ohio State, Michigan State. All right, perfect. We got a 19-point spread, 68.5, which is probably the highest total it looks like on the slate. I don't see any 70s. So obviously a high total. A big spread, 19 points. Ohio State has the highest implied, 43.75 on the slate, but Michigan State looks like they have a puncher's chance to hang into this one. Kind of looking at this game, looking at Ohio State. I mean, they're the big boys on the Big Ten block, but what do you think on this game? We have to talk about it, obviously, even with the 19-point spread, because it has some really good DFS players in it, but most of all, you're talking about a lot of points that are implied. So how are we going to handle this game, Pete, in regards to this Big Ten action?
Well, yeah, this is kind of like one of the marquee games, I guess, this late. Mm-hmm. I would call it a lot of chalk here. Ohio State's going to be mega chalky, and mainly because we're going up against, Michigan State. Michigan State's pass defense has become like the Missouri rush defense. We like to pick on Missouri with running backs. So right now, Michigan State is allowed 329 passing yards per game, which is by far the worst of the slate. It's I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's got to be. They're definitely one of the worst pass defenses in the country. Every week, we're playing it. We're playing wide receivers against them every week. It's working. And now we got this week. We got the big boys. We got Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, all these guys, JSN going against them. So a lot of chalk. First start now with the quarterback, with CJ Shroud. He's going to be. We don't have any projections yet for ownership, but he's going to be popular. I'm not saying he's my top quarterback, but he's definitely one of the top cash quarterbacks of the slate. Sure, problem with Shroud is he's not a dual threat, so it's kind of his upside is capped a bit. I mean, he's got a floor is really high, which makes him a good cash game, but I don't believe his ceiling is because he doesn't run. So Shroud's in play. And, once you're making your lineups, can you fit him in? Yes or no? We have a couple other guys I like Desmond Ritter, but the wide receivers are going to be the ones in play. So definitely Garrett Wilson at 6'8", $6,800. Definitely chalk core play. He's going to be chalky. Chris Olave at 6'4". Both of them, you can possibly play both of them in cash. I mean, these guys, I don't have to give you numbers to these guys. These guys are so good. I mean, we saw it last week. Wilson had a huge game last week, and then even Olave stuck in. I had Olave in my lineup, my main lineup. He was able to get that touchdown at the end, which kind of pushed me into the cash and cash games. But both of them are going to be to play. JSN, Jackson Smith-Njigba, it was actually now more expensive than Olave and Wilson, if you can believe it, at 7.9. He's going to be the lower own guy, so he's going to be a decent GBP play as a pivot off those guys. The good thing about Ohio State, though, is a concentrated. You know where ball is going to go. It's going to go to, Olave, Wilson, JSN. So kind of on the Ohio State side, if you're looking, you got Olave, Wilson, I guess Stroud, you put in that category as your cast plays. And then GBP plays, you got JSN. And then one guy doesn't get a lot of talk is pretty much is the freshman, Trevion Henderson at 8,500. There's a couple other probably running backs are probably better plays in cash, but he's going to get the full workload this week. It's a big game, and it's going to be competitive. I think this game's going to be a little bit more competitive than what's a 19-point spread. So I think this game may be competitive than Vegas thinks. And Henderson's a stud. I mean, we've seen, he's got a floor of probably 20-25, upside of 40. So Henderson's a GBP play, JSN GBP play. Michigan side, Michigan State. I'm not really into Kenneth Walker the third this week, but mainly because it's priced 9.2. But hey, he can get there. We know it. We've seen it. If anything, maybe the receivers. I mean, Jaden Reed's great, but now he's at the 6.5. Well, no, I guess he's around that last week, but he's in play. But if anything, anybody has been in love with Montoya Foster at 3.8. To me, I'm more of a Mosley guy. Trey Mosley, that was at 4.7. I think Mosley's a better play than Foster. but none of these guys are in cash. It's all about Ohio State here.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of looking at the receivers. You were talking about it. I mean, I was looking at Wilson's price, Olave. I was like, man, these guys should be more expensive. But at the same time, you're right. I mean, any one of them could get the ball. Like we know where the volume's going. We know where the passing route tree is going to be. And you're right about Kenneth Walker. I think was it last week or the week before? Everybody was kind of like, nah, there's no way he's going to get there. And he got there
and exploded.
Yeah, that's just what happens sometimes. And I think he was at super low ownership. I mean, what was that? That's I guess Michigan, he had 56.8, then Purdue 25.6, and then Maryland 34.2. Going back to the rankings you mentioned, it does say that Michigan State is, I don't think this is possible. It's at 290th against the pass right now. I didn't even know that was possible. We have 290th allowing 311 yards passing per game. That's pretty bad.
They're the worst pass defense in the country by far.
120 rushing yards. I mean, this is a Power 5 conference team that is just getting smoked through the air. So yeah, you're right. I think that
I pulled up out of 130 teams, they're 130. They're the worst team in the nation right now, allowing 329, 10.79. 10.79 yards is not the worst, but 329 is definitely the worst yards per 329 yards per game. I'm sorry, but the worst in the nation by far, even worse than Duke.
I was going to say the one thing that you kind of mentioned, and I mean, if you really are just kind of playing it from a game theory standpoint before we move on to the next game, is that, I mean, whatever one of these receivers is going to go off, it's going to come from CJ Stroud. So, I mean, if you're looking at it from that standpoint, if you play him, you lock down that passing game. So that is one thing to think about. I mean, you could definitely fade Stroud. I mean, he's 9.5. I don't think he's too expensive. If you're worried about a blowout, understandably, yeah, sure. I mean,
there's some cheap plays here. We probably can use them. You're right. It's a good point.
Yeah, I just think that, just from looking at it from that standpoint, I always look at it from trying to have an edge. So, we'll look at it a little bit closer to lock and when we get in there. But yeah, man, let's move on to the next game. We have Wake Forest and Clemson. Kind of looking at it from an odds standpoint here. It's a tight spread. Obviously Clemson's not as good as they were previously, but 57 total, that's respectable. 4.5 spread with Clemson at a 30 point implied total on points, and Wake Forest right behind them around 26. So yeah, man, what do you think here? Let's start with the Clemson side of things, as they are the favorite team. Is there anybody from there? I mean, I know on the run back we do have an expensive quarterback to talk about, but do you like DJ at all here? I mean, he's 5'9". You could pair him with a couple pieces from this game.
Yeah, that's a good point. And to me, this is a strange line. It's kind of interesting to me. At were they 4.5? Man, no, Wake Forest is getting no respect. I mean,
no, they're really not.
Really good offense though. This is one of the games I would maybe bet, and take Wake on this side. But Clemson, DJ, I think he's interesting punt play at 5'9", and we're going, as we get going, we're going to see a couple more quarterbacks we pretty much are much better plays. But I don't think it's a horrible play. And DJ runs a bit. He's going to throw 30, 35 times. I mean, he's been bad. We've seen him bad, but we also looking at Wake Forest. I mean, Wake Forest their defense has not been very good either, especially on the rushing end. They have right now, Wake Forest got the third worst run defense of the slate. They're around 201.8. So to me, I really like Will Shipley at 6'7", the running back for Clemson.
Yeah.
The kid's a stud. We all, super freshman.
Right. I was just going to say they're allowing 30 points a game too. I mean, if you're really, Hartman's involved in a shootout, it seems like every single week. Yep. So
I was going to say every week it's a shootout, right?
Right. Yeah. So I think that's something to consider here. I mean, look at their last couple scores, 45-42, 55-58. Obviously there was the blowout to Duke, 45-7. Army was 70-56, 40-30. You're talking about 70 to 100 points, average, actually more than that. I mean, these are some incredible spreads. Implied totals that are being, I don't know how many times the over is hit for Wake Forest, but it's got to be a majority of the time, just from a betting standpoint. But yeah, I'll let you finish your thought. You talked about Shipley a little bit. Maybe you want to expunge on that and tell us what you think about attacking this run defense here.
Yeah, to me, Shipley's probably to me my favorite is 6'7". He had a week off last week. Pretty much to me, everything I've seen, now he's coming back fresh. And we saw what he did at Florida State. He destroyed Florida State. 25 touches, 128 yards. I think 2 touchdowns. Plus caught 4 balls. I love Shipley. To me, Shipley's a cash play. 6'7", not sure he's in my main lineup. He's gonna be, if I'm making 2 lineups, he's probably in one of those 2. They do have some value receivers here. The problem is, there's nobody that's like knockout. You gotta play him. But there's 3 receivers I'm kind of interested in, because now that oh my God, I just drew a blank on their time. Justin Ross is out. So we have 3 receivers. We got Bo Collins at 4.5, a little bit high of a price, but probably too expensive for cash. But probably is a top receiver there. Number 2, we got Dakari Collins at 3.5, probably my favorite play. He's one that's pretty much stepped in for Ross, and Ross got hurt.
Popped up. I know I've heard some stuff on Twitter about Zach Jackson. He's a freshman I know from. I think he's a walk-on. He's down there. He's gotten some love, but I don't know who's going to pop out here. But I do think you're right. I think that the running game is definitely somewhere you can attack. You got to think Shipley is in line for at least a couple touchdowns. They're giving up 30 points a game. That's going to come from somewhere. You know what I mean? Like these guys don't play defense. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that's
Shipley's a stud too. Shipley's one of those guys, a hard worker. He plays both ends. He can catch balls out of backfield. I'm a big Shipley guy, and he didn't play much last week, so I think he's ready to go this week. On the Wake Forest side, honestly, I had no interest much at all. I think they're all, hook him up with A.T. Perry, but these guys are all, what's Jakari's 8.3, A.T. is 8.2. Hartman 10-3. I'm not paying Sam Hartman 10-3 against this Clemson defense. Remember, this Clemson defense they may not be the Clemson that we've got used to seeing, but
still pretty good.
They're only allowed 112 yards on the ground, 197 in the air. So I'm not touching this Clemson defense, especially when they're favored at home by 4.5.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think that's about it on them. I think that you're right. There's not a whole lot to go in regards. It's a GPP thing. We're not saying don't play them. We're just saying that if you're going to play them, you've been fairly warned that Clemson does have a good defense still. So a lot of things have to go the right way for that Sam Hartman price tag and his receivers to go off there. All right, moving on. Florida State, Boston College. This seems like I know this is a rivalry game. But is there a trophy? Did you know what this one is? I tried to put that on you the other time a couple of weeks ago about
we figured out the next
rivalry. Yeah, and then we figured exactly the next day. You're like, hey, I remember what you were asking me. And
I can't remember what it was.
We were talking about Michigan. I think we were talking about Michigan. The Michigan
was Iron Bowl or something, wasn't it? Something like that?
Yeah. So you got I know Florida State, Boston College. I feel like back to the Doug Flutie days, I remember, and I was young, man. I'm not that old. I'm not going to age myself that much.
I remember it.
He's like, I remember, like it was yesterday. So you got a lower total. 54.5. It's not terrible. It definitely is a tight spread, 1.5 points. Boston College is actually favored, which is not something you see every year. Definitely seems like it matches up more like a better real life game here, but I do think there's some plays here to talk about. So I'm gonna let you lead out here and tell me what you think in regards to the Boston College, Florida State teams.
Definitely some DFS love. It all starts with Jerkovic. He is only 4.5, which is definitely a DK misprice. Jerkovic's been hurt all year. If Jerkovic actually didn't get hurt and has been leading Boston College, we talked about this. We actually talked about this in our preseason previews, me and Walt Odell, and we both said how Jerkovic actually BC could have won this ACC. That's how good I think Jerkovic is. And he got hurt. We thought he was out for the season, but he actually came back and was his Georgia Tech. He had 48. He had 48 and a half fantasy points. And now DK never changed his price. So he's sitting here at 4-5. To me, it's a lock button cash play. You got to play him. Yeah. He's a dual threat. I've heard people say that they don't think he's that great. I'm telling you what, though. I mean, against Virginia Tech, yeah, he doesn't have the roll up against Virginia Tech. He plays 7 for 13, 112 with no touchdowns, which is a liability. But when you got a guy like Jerko at 4-5, you play him in cash. Right. To me, I don't think you can get away with fading him. But it does bring in, especially GDPs, if the games, especially that price gives you so much flexibility in your lineup, But if there is a chance, though, that if the game script changes, and if you do end up, you can fade Jerko and GDPs. Pat Garwo, the running back at 5'8", to me is a fabulous play. In a negative game script, he's definitely. Garwo is definitely a great play, especially because Wake Forest is giving up 201 yards per game on the ground. So, and I could see, and I was wrong in the positive game script, because if BC goes ahead of FSU, which is a very good chance they are, Jerko stops passing, and Garwo is going to get all the work. So as long as it stays a positive game script, Garwo's good. But if it goes negative, you're going to see a guy like Levy in the game. It's a different story. So if you're not playing Jerko, I would get Garwo in the lineup. Because Wake Forest does have a really bad run defense. You got Flowers. Yeah, his main target. You can play him against GDPs. A little expensive, but
yeah. I think that this is tough, because I don't even feel comfortable telling people, like you said, to fade a quarterback at 4-5 who's a dual threat in a good game script for him. I mean, it's just very hard to say. I mean, obviously anything can happen. He can get hurt, but the amount of leverage you would get by fading a Jerkovich and then playing a Garwo, where, say, Jerkovich goes, 14 of 20, gets about 50 rushing yards, gets about 150 passing yards, 200 total yards of offense, but does not get a touchdown because Garwo, he vultures everything. The amount of leverage you would get on that is incredible. So it's very hard to say. I mean, if you're asking me just in a vacuum, I'm like, no, you play the quarterback at 4 or 5, because you're actually saving $1,300 in salary too. But I mean, honestly, right here, you could play them both if you really wanted to. I mean, who do you think is going to score more, Garwo and Jerkovich or Sam Hartman? Because that's the price. That's what you're looking at. It's 10-3 if you're combining them together. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Garwo's had back-to-back 100-yard games, 104, 116, and the Virginia Tech game had 116. But that's also the game where Jerkovich didn't have to work much, and Garwo took over. Had a 116 and a touchdown. So it's kind of tough. I mean, tough to play. You can't play them together in cash, but you can definitely.
For sure.
Especially with some of the other running backs and slate. But yeah, you can play them together in GBPs. But I just saw a stat too. Jerkovich right now, of all the quarterbacks in slate, he actually leads all the quarterbacks in 9 yards per carry. And he's got has 10 forced missed tackles on just 18 carries per PFF. So to me, I think you gotta play Jerko and cash. I'm not taking any chances, but just know there, like you just said, there could come a chance where he's throwing 150 yards, no touchdowns, and Garwo's getting all the work. I mean, it could happen, but at 4-5, I'll take that chance.
Yeah, I think it's like you said. Yeah, it's just so tough to really to pick what's going to happen there. If you knew, then you're gonna win, a couple 100,000. All right, let's move on. Do you have anything else on the Florida State side?
Oh, actually, no. Well, yeah, I do have one more thing. Actually, on the Florida State side, the only interest I have is Jordan Travis. I like Jordan Travis at 7K. I think Jordan Travis just doesn't get a lot of ownership, doesn't get a lot of love in DFS. But with his dual threat, I think Jordan Travis has got a really high ceiling. Any other week, I would be talking about playing Jordan Travis in cash. Is it at price 7K? So with Jerko sitting there at 4 or 5, it's more of a GBB play. But don't sleep on Jordan Travis this week either. And then, this is not a bad. This 54.5 is not a bad. is not a bad over-under, especially when BC's only favored by 2.5. There's gonna be some point score here. So this is GP. So we're gonna load up on Zay Flowers. I mean, Flowers is definitely Jerko's favorite target. There's Georgia Tech, 287.2, and then you got Trey Berry at 3.9 for GPP. So I can't
believe. I was gonna say I can't believe he ran the ball 22 times. I knew he had a really good game against Miami. I saw some highlights, but I'm looking at it now. I know the kid runs, but geez Louise, like this guy, he's got some attempts on him. I mean, he's not quietly in that 8, yeah, he's not in that 8 to 10 kind of range that we consider dual threat, right? You run the ball 8 times a game, you're a dual threat quarterback. This guy's legit running the ball a lot. So yeah, 7K, I'm totally on board with that. All right, so we have our next game is going to be the Oklahoma matchup. So we have Oklahoma against Iowa State. I'm a little shocked. I mean, 59.5. I love that in regards to implied total, but only a 3.5 spread, man. They really think Iowa State. They're going to hang in there against this Oklahoma team. Oklahoma's right over at 31.5. Iowa State at 28. So can Breece Hall and the bunch do it? What are we looking at here in regards to this Big 12 matchup?
It's a tough one. To me, everyone's like appropriately priced. Breece Hall still at 9.4. If I had the money, I'm playing Breece Hall. I just think it seems like every week you play him, it just doesn't feel good. But the next thing you know, he gets there. He breaks a couple of tackles, a couple of touchdowns. I mean, even last week, he had the greatest week. Ran the ball 18 times, 51 yards. Still scored twice on the ground, caught one in the air. 3 for 23. So Breece Hall is always going to get there. I say every week by Saturday afternoon, I should have played Breece Hall. So Hall's always in play. If I had the money and you made this week because of his value, he's the best. To me, he's the best runner on a slate. That's pretty much it. Charlie Kolar, finally, the 1 week I don't play him at 4 or 5, he goes off. I mean, 2 touchdowns last week against Tech, 8 for 8 for 76. But he doesn't have a ceiling. He's got a decent floor. That's it for Iowa State and Oklahoma. Not really, because no way am I paying for Caleb Williams. No way am I paying 9.9 for Caleb Williams. But he's also a good GPP play, but nobody's going to play him. So very contrarian play. And you do have that, You do have that 59.5 over under. So Williams doesn't play GPPs. We're very low owned. Kennedy Brooks, 7.4. Nope. Way too many players. Guys, I'd rather play at running back than Kennedy Brooks, 7.4. I do see Marvin Mims is getting, what's his name? The receiver for Oklahoma, Drake Stoops at 3.4 is actually getting more snaps than Marvin Mims. So CVP plays, you want to take a shot at Drake Stoops at 3.4, go ahead. But especially because, Mims is, you still have Mims, but I'm not playing these guys. Stoops to be the only one at 3.4 because he's getting more snaps. I'm sorry. I have my numbers mixed up there.
Yeah, I'm just, man, my head's in a freaking spin when I'm looking at Oklahoma. It just doesn't make sense to me, man. It's like first you get freaking, Spencer Rattler's supposed to have a DFS season of all seasons, and then he gets basically just replaced. Caleb Williams comes in, and then it's like Oklahoma. It's hard to pick.
Williams got replaced last week. I think he got
hurt. He got his hand stepped on at Baylor. Okay. I kind of checked on that because I was wondering why Spencer Rattler got some love. But I know Caleb. They said Caleb Williams is a full go from the news that I just read. So I mean, I think it's going to be good here. I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but there's no way that Breece Hall is not going to be involved in this game from start to finish. Right? I mean, he has to be, right? He only had 51 yards.
And he's one of those guys you can play him. He always gets there. No matter what, he's going to get there. At that, it's an expensive price, but he gets there every week. So yeah, Hall's a cash game play. If you had the money, you play ball this week, you play Breece Hall.
Yeah, and you probably will if you're playing 4 or 5 for the BC Jerkovich play at quarterback.
Exactly.
So yeah, okay, fair enough. I think you kind of went down the OU list of players that you like. Is there anybody else on ISU outside of talking about Breece Hall? We talked about Kohler. Obviously, I don't know if you have any love for Brock Purdy, but I don't know. I mean, he seems like he can sling it when he has to. 42 attempts. It's just Yeah, I mean, the
I'd play
matchup.
Purdy in October. He's got huge October numbers. He does. It's just Allen's a fact. He's been playing.
Yeah.
It seems like he's been playing forever. But no, he's whatever. He's a game manager. He'll get you whatever. But no interest in him really this week.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so we're going to move on to the next game. We got the best team in college football, the University of Texas Longhorns versus West Virginia. I'm saying that very tongue-in-cheek. My Longhorns have been pretty abysmal this season. It's actually pretty painful to watch them give up games towards the end. But 56.5 implied total. West Virginia coming in as a 3-point favorite, right under 30, 29.75 total. Texas at 26.75. Yeah, man. I don't know. I kind of want to steer clear of really touting anything this game because, I'm going to see it with burnt orange glasses here. So tell me what you feel in regards to this game. If there's anything that you're like, these are must play guys. This injuries, man, they're tough. So yeah, let's talk.
All right. So starting Texas, the news, the big news, Bijan's out for the year. So probably Rashawn Johnson at 3.8 to me is real close to a cash play lock. I think he's I think Rashawn's probably he's got I think pretty much it's once again you get a guy like Rashawn in there at 3.8, you can get some of these other big studs we're talking about. So he's been productive before. We've seen what he can do. You also got Kyran Robinson in there as the RB2, and Rashawn is on the depth chart as the RB1. Brooks is also out for Texas. So pretty much you're only looking at two running backs here, Rashawn Johnson and Kyran Robinson. According to depth chart and according to experience and talent, Rashawn should get all the touches. Is he going to get 30 touches? Not sure. If he does, he's definitely a lock. But I think he's a cash play close to a lock core. Jordan Whittington's back. So you kind of do downgrade Marcus Washington a little bit. But I love Xavier Worthy. I've liked him since day one. I think Worthy, we saw what last week, Worthy 22 targets. He went 14 catches, 3 touchdowns, like 152 yards against Kansas. And that I can't believe they actually lost to Kansas, but whatever. And that does bring it to Casey Thompson.
He went off, dude. He
went
freaking
totally
went off. God.
So that to me, that brings Casey Thompson as a sneaky GBP play. And
6'8".
You can't blame that loss on Casey Thompson last week. He did his job. 358 yards, 6 touchdowns. So I really think, though, West Virginia's defense is average. With no Bijan, definitely a GPP stack with Casey Thompson, maybe William Timms, he's back, but definitely like Thompson and Worthy would be a hell of a pivot from a Shroud Wilson Olave. You go to like a Casey Thompson, Worthy, Jordan Whittington to be a totally different stack.
You can play Johnson in there too. He's only 3.8 in a flex position. If you're worried about getting some touchdowns vultured, 3.8's not going to do it. With those guys we look for all day. And you're talking about a running back one for a Texas team that we know utilizes their running back in multiple ways. So, I think that's a very, very smart thing. I've hit on big games with Worthy, and I've also played him expecting him to crush, and he's turned around and got me like set. I played him against whenever he played Oklahoma State. He got 7.8 coming off of a 50.
That was the game I played him too. But I think it's a good GBP game. I really do. I like Texas GBP. Even as underdogs. On the other side, this is a great. It's all about Letty Brown. Nothing else in West Virginia is easy. It's either Letty or you don't. I'm a Letty guy. Right. I think definitely. Now we saw last week Kansas. Devin Neal rushed 24 times, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns, caught another 2 passes for 26 yards against this Texas team. So what the hell is Letty Brown going to do? And Letty's struggled a little bit this year. He hasn't had the year we all thought he was going to have, but he still had one against a really good Kansas State defense. He had 118 total yards. He was under 100 rushing, but still he had 118 total. Texas right now is the second worst rush defense on this slate, I think. Now they're fourth, but still give over 20 yards a game. So definitely like Letty Brown here. We've seen him dominate weeks. He's got a high ceiling. At 6,200, he is definitely in play. Maybe one of my favorite side. I like Hassan Haskins a little bit. So, but Letty Brown's my top running back plays this week at 6'2". So there's actually some DFS love in this game.
Yeah, I think that he's an interesting pivot here. I think if you're not sold on a Shipley for Clemson, he's at 6'7". Letty Brown's at 6'2". It's kind of weird, honestly, even hearing Letty Brown at 6'2" against such a bad. I just think it's weird. It doesn't seem like they're adjusting the algorithm for the matchups as well for whatever reason. So I don't know. Maybe they're sleeping on the job. So we're going to help you guys find that edge there. I will obviously plug one more time right now. If you come and check out our Discord, you're going to be able to see a lot of these things that we're going to drop in our premium chat. So, yeah, man, anything else on this game, or are you ready to move on? All right. So Purdue and Northwestern. We got this is a game, probably not a lot to talk about here. 47.5 implied total, 11-point spread. Looks like Purdue coming in as the favorite. 29.25 expected score. Northwestern at 18.25. Yeah, man. So I do think it's something that we obviously have to mention as it's a game on the slate. You got some big time players like David Bell, but that's really kind of about it. I don't think that there's anything else other than maybe talking about an Aiden O'Connell with the David Bell. Aiden O'Connell is cheap here. You're talking about near 30 points implied. Is that pretty much where you're at on this game? Is there anything that I'm missing?
No, you got it. Aiden O'Connell, I love this kid. This kid's really, and if Jerko wasn't 4 or 5, whatever on the slate, Aiden O'Connell would be the play. DK is not moving his price. So he's had huge games. He's done it even against other teams than Michigan State. So it said there's no Jerko, he's the lock. So let me see, 5 of his last 6 games, he's had a yard bonus. And he's got some weapons. David Bell, elite receiver, one of the best receivers in the land. Especially now, I would probably say the best receiver in the country now with Jake London out for the year. But a couple other guys, Jackson Anthrop. My Anthrop was like sneaky plays like a month ago, and Anthrop is really getting it done. He's sub 5K. He's kind of like a third running back because he's definitely going to run the ball. He's got like 5 carries a game.
Right.
Looking at his targets from his last 3 games, 9 targets, 6 targets, 6 targets. So I like Jackson Anthrop, sub 4K. Another guy I like is Wright, definitely. So the strange thing is when you play Northwestern, because Northwestern's run game sucks so bad, you normally want to run against Northwestern. Northwestern right now. Right. Where's their rushing? Right now, Northwestern is the worst on the slate, giving up 228 yards per game, even worse than Wake Forest in Texas. The problem is you got guys like Horvath, King Daru, guys to me just are not good runners. Maybe a little King Daru. Was he 4 or 5? So, and Northwestern's defense is so bad. I guess you can throw Daru in there. Is your core play? No, but and you see splits carries of Horvath, but
suck, dude. God, how is he so bad? Is their offensive line just terrible or what?
And but that's the problem. You beat Northwestern, you beat them on the ground. But with King Daru, guys like King Daru as your main runners, and Xander Horvath, you got to go to the air. And I said you got Milton Wright at 3.9, so 6 targets a game is getting David Bell. So O'Connell, probably he's had better situations this year. So, against Northwestern, more, said going against them on the run, but I still like Aiden O'Connell.
Okay.
I'm still going with Jerko at the end of the day. So, but O'Connell definitely in play. David Bell definitely.
All right. Fair enough. We'll have to see what happens on that one. Moving on, we have a Rutgers Penn State matchup. 46.5, another low implied total. Penn State is coming in as a 17-point favorite. 31.75 implied points. Rutgers only 14. Definitely not a team that we're going to want to focus a lot on here in DFS. But outside of maybe the Penn State, I mean, obviously Dotson, Clifford. You have to talk about them. Outside of that, let's talk about Dawson and Clifford, I guess, Pete. I don't really see anything else that just strikes my fancy here. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, and the next few games, we can kind of even roll through, because any other week you would have loved Sean Clifford at that price. He would be a lock at his price. But once again, you got guys like O'Connell and Jerko this week, and then rolling up with Ritter and Shroud. Right. He's in play. Ends up making more than one lineup. Dotson's elite. If you got the money, you play Dotson. And Dotson's, pretty much gives Clifford his numbers, because with Dotson there, he's going to get a certain number of points. One of my favorite sneaky plays, I think, this week, beside those two, is Parker Washington. Washington's only 4K. Last week, 4 receptions, 92 yards, 5 targets against Maryland, 2 for 16, but then against Ohio State, 9 from 108. So that Penn State's going to throw the ball, because their run is so bad. So it's a passing offense. Clifford, Dotson, Parker Washington, Rutgers side, nobody. Said Penn State 17-point favorite and a 46.5 over/under. That's it. Move on to Illinois.
Okay, fair enough. We're moving on.
And actually, honestly, we can skip right over that game, because there's what's that? What's that total? What's that over under Illinois Iowa?
It's like 12. I don't know. It's really.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I'm a Goodson guy. I like Tyler Goodson at 6'5", but really, I mean, just to move along.
It's 38 and a half. That's the lowest. I don't think I've seen under a 40 in a while in college.
I have no interest. Tyler Goodson, GDP's a little bit, but anything, move on to Georgia Tech Notre Dame.
All right, you want to win all the money? Just stack that game, and if nobody's going to play it,
that'll be the game that goes off for an 80 over. Right?
I know, right? All right, Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, definitely a notable matchup here. We have, let me find them here. There we go. 58.5, near 60 points on the implied. Notre Dame, a 17-point favorite, 37.75, almost 40. That's looking good. Georgia Tech, 20.75, not as good here. Me personally, if I'm just going to give my opinion, man, Notre Dame, I feel like they're just going to absolutely just smoke this team. But I could be wrong. I just feel like this is like the time where you kind of see Notre Dame kind of start to push a little bit. I think this is going to be a game where they stomp on Georgia Tech. Could be wrong, though.
No, I agree. 17-point favorite, you said. Quickly on the Tech side, no good values. If you're gonna play anybody from Georgia Tech, it's gonna be Jahmyr Gibbs. It'll be 6'6", a little bit expensive, but Gibbs, Gibbs the type of guy. He's involved in the passing game and rush game. I like him, but 6'6" too high. Notre Dame side, of course, my man Kyran Williams. I've won a lot of money from Kyran Williams over the years. Last week against Virginia, didn't have the greatest game, but he's always in play. I mean, did he get it done last week at his price? 14% he scored a touchdown. No, but the week before that against Navy, he scored 2 touchdowns, 95 yards. Week before that against UNC, 199 and a touchdown. So GBP, that price is probably a little bit high on Kyran. What did I say his price is? Is 8K.
8K.
Probably a little bit high. Receivers, Braden Lindsey's 3-3, especially with Avery Davis. Avery Davis out. Lindsey gets a little bit of a bump up, but I'm not playing him in any of my main lineups because just that those receivers are so volatile. If anybody, maybe Michael Mayer at 5.6. He's an option against Virginia, 7 for 84 and touchdown. A little Gronk, they call him, but once again, he's volatile too. So everybody in this game is GBP, but of course, Kyran is always in play.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I think that there's a lot of, there's some darts here you can definitely throw. This is a game where, you can hit on one of these guys down low for sure. I see this, being a Kyran Williams kind of game, just kind of running down their throat. There's definitely some matchups here where, it looks like from what I'm seeing, Georgia Tech is just really bad at defending anything in the air. So I don't know, maybe it's that kind of game, and we'll have to see how it goes. I think it's going to be a good game to watch. I like watching, and when Notre Dame is good, they're fun to watch. So, all right, cool. So let's talk about another game here that, it's worth mentioning, but it may be very ugly very quick. You got an Alabama team playing Arkansas. Alabama's a 3-touchdown favorite, 39.5 implied total, 58 on the over-under total of the game. Arkansas not even breaking 20 here at 18.5. I don't watch a ton of Arkansas. I think every time I turn on the TV, I'm watching Alabama. It seems like that they definitely love them. Some Alabama SEC games and whatnot. So I think this is a GPP spot. I don't see anybody that I'm like, okay, I have to play them. But I mean, shit, if you get a Bryce Young and you link up one of those really, really talented receivers, or, maybe a Brian Robinson here, you just play him because you don't have a Bijan to have to worry about on the slate. And that you want to play him. You don't want to play Breece Hall. That's an option. You got John Mechie down there. I really do think that under 8K is very good for him. What am I not seeing here in regards to this game, Pete?
I asked you, you pretty much hit it right on a button. Sneaky GDP game. That's how I could probably describe it. On the Arkansas side, quick, you got Dominique Johnson at 3K. So it's still kind of a 3-headed monster, but he has distanced himself from the other 2 running backs. His last 15 touches last game, 40 yards game for that, 17 touches, 107, 2 touchdowns. So plus still GBP play because Johnson is not the pass down back, but when you get a 3K running back touching the ball, we see averaging 16 touches last 2 games, he's definitely in consideration. But when you got Rashawn Johnson, who's got some Texas, but Johnson's a play, probably more GBP play. KD Jefferson's too high. The rest of those guys too high. Now, Bama, I think, is a great spot for GBPs because everybody is going to be – every one of these guys can break a slate. Bryce Young can break the slate. Brian Robinson Jr. can break the slate. Jameson Williams, Mechie, all can break the slate, like you said. But everybody's going to be playing Shroud, Olave, and Wilson. And definitely, if this game stays competitive, which I think it is, and I think Arkansas could possibly beat that spread, the 21-point spread. All these guys have huge ceilings. Just look, Jameson Williams, he only had 6 catches, but he had 42 fantasy points. Brian Robinson carried the ball 9 times, but 30 fantasy points. So imagine if these guys had a competitive full game. Imagine if Brian Robinson touched the ball 25 times. A tough game, neck to neck. So if you're playing GBPs, definitely roll some of these Bama guys out there, pivot from the Ohio State games, and you can end up winning yourself a lot of money here.
Yeah, man. My claim to college football DFS fame is I touted KJ Jefferson whenever they played Ole Miss. And
last show, like 3 weeks ago, right?
He scored over 50 points. I made sure that our premium members that they remembered that. But I think this is kind of another spot here where, he's going to have to play. I mean, he's going to play the whole game. I don't care how bad they're getting beat. And it is what it is. It's Alabama. I mean, all NFL caliber guys, probably NFL caliber defense, probably not as good as I've seen them. Exactly. If they keep it close, KJ is going to have to do something, but he's 7'6". I wish he was sub 7K.
It's only GPP. Yeah, it's only GPP because all of the other price plays that we have on this slate. So, yeah, totally think that this is a game where you have to consider some GPP moves. Do not, don't be a little sneaky. I guess that's my only thing. If you're listening and you're one of our members, not our members, you're thinking about trying your fielder's choice. We don't want you to be on the plays that everybody's on. In order to win a GPP, you're really going to have to be outside the box. So what I would do is, like me and Pete are talking, GPP. This is the game that you want to target if you're going for those more than single entry. So 3 max, maybe if you're going into building 20 lineups, get you 2 or 3 lineups where you're stacking Alabama. Maybe one where you're going Alabama and running it back with KJ Jefferson. This is where you can be different. So yeah, that's kind of us saying our piece on there. We're going to move on. We got a few games left. Looks like the SMU Cincinnati game is next. It sounds like a good matchup. Let me kind of see what we're at on paper here. There we go. Oh, yeah, this is juicy. 65 as the implied, Cincinnati as a 10.5 favorite, 37.75 implied for them, 27.25 for SMU. This looks like fantasy goodness, Pete. I think that we got some plays here. You always got your boy Desmond Ritter, and he's not even 9K. It's crazy. I know you love him. So tell us about what we should like in this game.
Yeah, to me, I like this game a lot. Like I said, 65 over under. SMU is going to push the ball, high pace. Cincinnati's, 11-point favorite. I finally get a competitive game for Desmond Ritter. I said I watched him last week in person against USF. He's a talent. Jerome Ford banged up. So Cincinnati needs a win. They need those style points. Big game for them for, national championship, to get everybody to look at them. This is the game we've been waiting for all year for Ritter. We've been talking about finally where he's going to be competitive the whole game. I think SMU is going to stick with him the whole game. Ritter's got a high floor, 25 points, a huge ceiling, 60 points. He played last year, Ritter, in this same game, SMU, he ran about 179 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground. So we know what he can do. I could see a game like this with Ritter going 100 yards, a couple touchdowns on the ground, throwing for 300 yards in the air, 3 touchdowns. This could be a huge game for Desmond Ritter. I'm going to try to get Ritter in my main lineup 8 and 9. And I could probably get it with Jerko and then still get like an Olave or Wilson and maybe even a Brees Hall. I haven't made a lineup yet, but I love Ritter in this spot. It's pretty much it for Cincinnati. Alec Pierce, to me, too expensive. I said to watch them in person. They seemed like they were never even looking for him. I'm not paying that price for Pierce. Yes, you could have a good game, but I'm not taking that chance. And that's it for Cincinnati. But on the SMU side, I do have to apologize though. The last week's show, I thought I had a breaking news here, but with Tanner Mordecai, because there was news that Dykes was going to was playing Preston Stone, the big, highly recruited freshman, and was going to give Stone a chance last week's game, and he did. He got in for like 8 snaps, and Mordecai had a huge game. So I feel like I pushed everybody off him. Last week he had 37. He threw the ball 37 times, 377 yards, 3 touchdowns. So Mordecai, still GBP only, but he's going to push the pace in this game. Love Bentley. Ulysses Bentley at 3.8. Bentley to me is probably your other probably cash core play as long as he's healthy. And when he plays, he's been solid. Tough matchup on paper, but once again, Cincinnati has played some weak teams. I think he's a good runner. Huge game last week. Plus he's a pass down back. My question of the week is: do you play Bentley or Rashawn Johnson from Texas, or maybe you play them both? But definitely, both in play. I love Ulysses Bentley this week at 3.8. You cannot turn down that price. Anybody else? Danny Gray's out. I mean, he hasn't been confirmed yet, but he's walking in the boot. Wherever he's out, You got Rasheed Rice, probably at 5'9" is in play. I have some interest in this kid, Dylan Godfrey. Godfrey's only 3K. Last week, heavy targets last week. He 13 targets, caught 10 of them, 88 yards. So Godfrey's I'm not saying he's a sneaky play at 3K, but he's definitely in play. And even some Cincinnati's giving the best shutdown defensive backs in the country. So probably looking at Roberson or Rasheed Rice. So I have some interest in Grant Calcaterra also at 4-1. Obviously will not be covering Calcaterra. So GBP plays beside Bentley, but I love this game for DFS purposes. Great game. You can game stack this game.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, I agree with all parts, everything that you said there. I just think it's one of those games where, man, I don't know. Like, I really want to like poo-poo on the Desmond Ritter, and just say something negative to kind of give a contrarian point of view. But I think you're right. I think when a team in college needs to win and it's a high enough total, you can't look away. So, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I think that, this is one of those games where I think that we could definitely, nitpick here, but I think that we need to really talk about the next game because I feel very strongly about this Pittsburgh team. And I want to talk about that. I want you to give me what you feel, obviously, about it. But, man, I really love the Kenny Pickett, Jordan Addison combo. I'm going to lead off with that, but I'm going to let you finish up with, your knowledge and you bringing this one in because I think that this game is a 65. Is that right? Yeah. No, 66. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I was looking at the Cincinnati game. So even higher than the last game, over 40 points implied for Pittsburgh, 40.25, 14.5 spread, a little bit bigger spread than the SMU Cincinnati, but Virginia at 25.75 here. What do you feel in regards to this game? Is this you're talking about 40 implied total in regards to points for Pittsburgh. So I feel like you have to look at them, right? Like this has to be a game that you have to consider as like, these guys could be worth a pay up here.
And Kenny Pickett's my favorite quarterback in college for 3 years now. Pickett's been my guy. I mean, Kenny Heisman, 9-1. I think 9-1 is a decent price. I still like Ritter though, because Kenny will run too. I just think better game environment for Ritter, but 9-1 for Kenny Heisman. Definitely under the radar. Definitely in play when you were GVP. Jordan Addison. It just seems like Addison doesn't get the respect he should. I mean, we've been on Addison for a couple of years here now, and he's definitely top 5 receiver in the nation. And they force feed Addison. He's got a 4. He's only been under 15 DK points once this whole year. I think it was 11 points.
Right.
So,
right.
Addison, 7-1. Great play. Now, will I play him over Olave or Wilson? Probably not because of Michigan State defense, but definitely great pivot. Close. We got Jared Wayne is definitely if Mac misses again, Jared Wayne at 4-3 is a great play, possibly a cash play. 15 plus DK points easily. So you want to pay attention to that. See if Mac misses, you go to Jared Wayne. So Pickett, Addison, Wayne, great plays. On the other side, it looks like Brennan Armstrong is trending to be back. Always great GVP play. If not, Wolf Olko at 4-5 is in play. I mean, we saw last week he's mobile. He ran 16 times last week. 4-5. I definitely would use him in GVPs. And then you got the Thompson kid for Virginia, Key Thompson. He's only 6'8", and this kid does it all. I mean, this kid 10, 12 targets, and he's getting goal line carries. So last 3 games he had nine catches, 110. The game for it, 9 catches, 91 yards, 9 catches, 89 yards, and he's getting goal line touches. So Key Thompson at 6'8", always. I've heard people saying he's a cash play. I'm not sure if I'd go that far, but possibly, but definitely a top GVP play. Key Thompson at 6'8".
Okay, are you ready? This is a little bit of putting you under the microscope here, a little bit of a gun to your head situation. So I'm gonna give you a couple scenarios, and I want you to pick these out because I think that these are going to be realistic things whenever people are coming into the lineup. So let's talk about this receiver spot first. You got your boy Key Thompson. You got Garrett Wilson, both at 6'8". I mean, do you feel like Thompson is somebody you're considering? Is that more of a leverage play? Do you feel like if you're playing a Kenny Pickett, Jordan Addison, running it back with the Key Thompson on the other side, is that something worth considering? Tell me what you think about that 6'8" receiver versus the Ohio State kid.
I mean, you got to play the Ohio State guys in cash. With Michigan around 300 yards a game, like 20 or 30 more yards than the closest second team. What is this? Kent State, whoever the second team was. But GPs definitely. I'm getting off Ohio State. Definitely GPs, but you never know. Michigan State should show up. So Key Thompson is a great play as a pivot, especially when a game stack that with a Heisman, like Heisman. Kenny Pickett. I'm calling him Heisman now. Pickett, Addison, and then you're running it back with a Key Thompson. Great play for GPs. Great play. I'd rather run that than a Wilson Olave because you're going to get a very low owned. Key Thompson to be 5% owned, not even in GPs. So definitely GPs, definitely.
Okay, and then my other 2v2 here for you, just because I love to mix and match these prices. I'm kind of building lineups as we're talking. You have a 2v2. You have your guy Desmond Ritter and Breece Hall. We talked about the pay up running back spot, or do you go Kenny Heisman, Kenny Pickett, and Robinson Jr. from Bama? That's a lot of salary right there, but I think this is a realistic situation you can get into here. Were you leaning on that 2v2?
What? So we're talking GVPs? I guess
I'm just in a vacuum. Right? You tell me what you think here as I'm watching the Patriots destroy Atlanta.
So we're talking. We're talking Pickett, Brian Robinson Jr. Against who?
Right. Breece Hall and Desmond Ritter.
Wow.
You're saving $200 with the Pickett and Robinson, I believe. On the Pickett. I don't know if that matters to you.
Well, it does because you still got to go Ritter and Hall because Hall, we know Hall's going to get there every week. Brian Robinson, especially with you always got rid of the blowout factor at Alabama. And we've seen Robinson, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, when Robinson didn't get us anything. If I remember that with Robinson. So the saver play is definitely Hall and Ritter, but Robinson and Pickett could definitely blow up. So yeah, GPs, I would make, that's nice little combo with Pickett and Robinson, but the safe end is going to be Ritter and Breece Hall by far. Yeah.
Okay. And I want to mention that Desmond Ritter has only gone over 30 points 2 times this year. Against USF.
We said this is the game we've been waiting for.
Ohio.
Circling on our calendar. This is the game.
Okay.
If he doesn't do it today, they got to win SMU. This is the perfect game for Ritter. So at the end of the day, though, Pickett's had a better season. I'm a Pickett guy, but this is the Ritter game. I'm putting all my marbles in Ritter this week.
I like giving you a headache with it because I know if I'm sitting here telling you
that's a good question.
I don't know. All right, we need to go ahead and round this out. We got 2 more games left. We got a Maryland, Michigan, Nebraska, Wisconsin. Let's go ahead, Maryland, Michigan first. If we're looking at them, we got a 57.5. Michigan is a 14.5 favorite, 36 implied points. Maryland at 21.5 here. Michigan, obviously, we can talk about their running backs here. I think that. Obviously, you can talk about a couple of different things here, but I know Hassan Haskin is the other guy hurt. Is Corum? Is he hurt right now?
Yeah, he didn't travel last week. So if Corum's out, I'm all over Haskins this week, man, because this is Hassan Haskins' game. He should be able to run all over Maryland. Probably a tap cash play, probably main lineup play. Even if Corum's in. We've used both. So remember, I think the one show we were on, we talked about using both of them when they both went off that week. So you can use both of them against Maryland. But if Corum's out, Haskins is definitely a top play in the slate. This is it's a big number for Michigan game. I mean, it's 57.5 over under, and Michigan's a two touchdown favorite over Maryland. Michigan's got to win.
Right.
If they win here, and then they go and beat Ohio State, Big Ten championship. So a lot for Harbaugh here. So I'm seeing a big game for my son Haskins, but that's all I'm looking for in this game. It says Haskins or broke here. There's nobody else let me look at for DFS purposes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I kind of think, man, it just kind of turns into one of those games where you're like, yeah. I mean, if it is what it is, but if it's Haskins, I mean, you know, and you don't have any quorum, I feel like you almost kind of have to play him here. Like,
I think
I'm talking about Ncaaf.
Yep.
Like, I just think it's just one of those situations you're like, you don't really have you don't really have much of a choice there. So, all right,
Quorum's out. Haskins is a top runner on a slate, definitely.
Yeah, because he's not priced like it. You know, they obviously expect. Well, they haven't done anything for the slate, but I will say that there's some interesting lineups that you can build, you know, when going through this. If you're looking at it and you actually go and lean towards the Michigan running back here, there's some guys that to consider. There's a lot of options here. I think this is going to be a very a 20 lineup kind of slate for me. So yeah, as I'm blabbering through here, let's go to the last game of the slate. We do have a Nebraska, Wisconsin. This game just sounds kind of gross on paper. It sounds gross in my head, but I will look at the stats anyway. 43 implied total, as I thought. Wisconsin 26, 9-point spread leaning their way. Nebraska only 17 points implied total here. Yeah, it's going to get ugly as I'm watching the end of this Patriots shutout here on Atlanta. I feel like we're going to see something like this, like a weird 21-17 type of game or whatever it's going to be. Yeah, that's what the bettors think. So what do you think, Pete? Anything to talk about before we go home?
No, besides Braylon Allen. I mean, Braylon Allen, the kid's a stud. Now with Maluzzi out, we saw what Allen did last week. He was incredible last week. I watched the game. He was just the kid's a stud. The kid's a monster. He's 17 years old. He's a grown man. I guess the question is, can you fade Braylon Allen at 8-6? And I've been going through this in my head because I think Braylon Allen is one of the top runners on the slate. So, and he could very well or should very well be in your main lineup. But if Quorum's out, to me, Haskins jumps him and becomes your top runner. So I would be looking at like a Haskins, Breece Hall. Quorum's out. If Quorum plays, then we'll drop down. Then maybe Allen will my top plays, and then you get Letty sitting at 6-2. So I'm looking at like the Letty.
I know. I keep going back to Letty. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Letty Haskins, Breece Hall. If I get those three, I'm locked in. Yeah, Letty's my man this week.
I can't believe it. And you're not even playing Roschon Johnson there. Like at 3-8, that's another option. Like, I mean, you're not even really.
You go.
It's a lot to think about.
Think of Roschon Johnson. So once again, I haven't made a lineup yet. So maybe it's we can go running back and super flex.
Right, exactly. I think this is a 3 running back kind of slate. I mean, shit, you could go 4 if you wanted to, but I think you're going to play the cheap quarterback. You're going to play the Jerkovich and Cash at 4-5, and you're going to play a big time quarterback more than likely, or you're just going to pay up. And hey, that's a strategy too, man. Getting like multiple 7K and up receivers in college football. It's not like the NFL. I mean, I guess it is to some point, but those big high price receivers in college, they're priced that way for a reason because they get all the volume. These are the guys that are wanting to show out. Remember, these kids are playing for paychecks at the next level. So they haven't been paid yet. So they want to come out and they want to show out. This is the time of year where scouts are really digging in. These guys are wanting to get into playoff football. There's some narratives in here for college. So, as Pete said, there's going to be a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. There will be an article out. As always, Pete's going to mention in some cash, some core and GPP plays on there. A lot to develop before the slate. We got some injury news. Be sure to check us out, yourfielderschoice.com. Get in our premium Discord. Like I said, $25 for the first 2 months. That's half off. It's a significant savings over the rest of the industry. Guys, I appreciate you, Pete. Mickey, thank you so much for producing this evening.
Pete, anything before we leave?
Not really. And the more we talk about the slate, the more I'm liking it. And it may not be as chalky as you think. I think there's some ways we can be a little bit different here.
There you go.
So we'll try to do tonight in CVB. But we have, a lot going on. So tomorrow we have college football, 5 games. So we have a 5-game slate tomorrow. I'll have that right up tomorrow morning.
Nice.
I'll have the right up tomorrow for the main slate. And then we have a college basketball slate tomorrow and Saturday. So a lot going on. The best time of year right now. Thanksgiving time, college football, college basketball, loading up my days, tournament time. So exciting. A lot going on.
Love it, man. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that bell for the notifications, like and subscribe on Twitch and YouTube, guys. We appreciate you. This is your Twitter's choice at YFC. YFC V12 at YFCP Cole. Thank you to Mickey once again for producing, guys. And we are out.
Peace.